it's always downhill for Manchester United, really. For 99.9% of players, it's a downward spiral. You know, you don't leave Man United unless you're Ronaldo and go to Real Madrid. And even, you know, it's a great club. So there's only one way, is normally for players that you have to go backwards.
So in terms of, and of course this is all hypothetical and I'm talking about it, let's just assume every club is available to Harry Maguire. What is in terms of him picking the right destination, what does he have to guarantee in moving to that club? What does he need from that club to reassure him? Because
he wanted is the most important.
Well, but this is a player that's not played much football this season in terms of, he's only started 8 Premier League games, for example. So that's what I mean. Like, how does he know that he's going to be guaranteed wherever he goes, he actually is going to play?
Well, I'm sure whoever goes in for him are going to obviously offer him first team football. He's on big wages, so, you know, he's going to have to negotiate. He might probably have to go backwards as in his wages. Unless United, I mean, we've all seen reports in midweek that they're going to pay him off or offer him something. I'm sure that, look, they're not going to be able to command a big fee and pay big wages. There's very few clubs in the world, not only in the Premier League, that could offer even close to what Man United are paying him. They can't. 99% of them can't. You know, and they wouldn't. They know that they'd have to give him he'd have to take some sort of cut. But there will be clubs after Harry. You don't know.
Would there? Who work? What kind of level are we thinking?
Well, I mean, how far do you go? Would you say he'd do Tottenham any harm? I think he's way better than what anything Tottenham have got. And what do? You get the quick centre-half alongside him. You want someone with pace. And Harry, I think, would do an admirable job. He's a decent player and he's gone through a bad time. And there's lots of players who have this experience in their career. Who is going to excite him, reignite his career? You know, would it be a Spurs? No, some Spurs fans thought, we don't want a Man United reject. Harry's an England international with a lot of experience and done very well. He's also had periods of doing well for Man United. He is suffering and he's not wanted by the coach. And that's a bit of a kick to take. I've been there. It's not nice when someone said, you're not what I'm looking for.
So when you're in that position, what club were you at and where did you end up?
Well, I had a manager. Well, Ron Atkinson walked into Villa and just said to me straight away, he said, I'm looking elsewhere, you can move on. And that was it. And, you know, that's football. But I was not prepared to stay, even though I loved it at the Villa. I really didn't want to leave the Villa at that particular time. But I had no choice. To me, it was like, so what, I'm going to try and prove I'm good enough to this guy or I can be the type of player he wants? I just felt, it's not because he's already made his mind up about me and that's it. And that happens to footballers. That happens to all types of players. Technical ones, you know, players that played in my style, players who are quick or a manager's not looking for a quick forward. Now, I'm sure they'd love a quick one in many ways, but that might not be their first port of call. So I think Harry could be, a lot of clubs could be after him. I think it could be a bit of a race for him. I could see Everton, if they were thinking of resurging as a team, that would be a good move for Everton because I think Sean Dyche loves dominant, big, you know, centre-halves that are commanding and can score goals from set pieces. Well, Mina, Yuri Mina at Everton. I could see that type of transfer. But Harry's got to want it. He's got to want to do it and be prepared to be brave. Look, it will come to an end one day anyway.
So you say there potentially is a race for his signature. Will there be a race for Jesse Lingard, who's been released, one of 6 players by Nottingham Forest after his contract expired, reportedly paid around £200,000 a week in that move to the City ground, but fell out of favour. He's only played, an hour of Premier League football since New Year's Day.
Well, yeah. What his age is Jesse now? 29, 30?
Something like that, yeah.
Well, he's had a gap year, hasn't he? He's decided to take a gap year in football.
Quite a nice gap year, isn't it?
Well, it was a strange one because West Ham were after him and he'd had that great experience under David Moyes and he chose to go to Forest and he's 30 years old. He might go to live football in Saudi Arabia or something like that. I don't know, Nat, but look, I felt he made a decision based on finance. And when I read the contract and the details of it, it just stunk of who's going to give me the most money. Now, that might have been agent-driven as well. Now, you can say, well, that's his prerogative. He chose to do that. He ended up playing hardly any football this season. Nottingham Forest would have been hugely disappointed of his input, even though they stayed up. They'd have looked at Jesse Lingard and thought, God, that was an expensive experience. He offered us nothing this year. Now Jesse isn't in the seat of power where clubs were after him. He had a number of clubs last season after him. This time last year, there was a few.
Yeah.
That isn't the case now. It's now no one's going to touch him in the Premier League.
I was going to ask though, could he still play in the Premier League?
I don't think David Moyes would go after him again, even though he loved what he did, because he turned him down. He'd probably think, nah, you've had a year off. You're not for me. And Mike questioned his decision to go to Forest at that particular time, because it did feel, from the numbers, what we were led to believe, that it was all money driven. I don't think that would sit well with David Moyes.
No, it's a move that didn't work out footballing-wise for Jesse Lingard. If you believe the reports of what he was being paid, financially, he might have done all right out of it. Interesting.
But short-term thinking. You know, he could have gone to Forest and less money, or even wherever other option he had, but could have prolonged his career. So I thought it was just a year. Well, I'll see how it goes. I'll go to Forest, and it didn't feel right. Now that could have come from Forest as well. They might have only said, look, we're only doing a year. You know, they might have offered a really good yearly package, but not anything after that, and then we'll renegotiate this next year. But that obviously, it felt like a gap year for Jesse Lingard.
Yeah, after that, really, like you mentioned, that successful loan spell at West Ham previously.
Well, he's 30, he's not 33, 34, 35.
Yeah,
he's only 30, Jesse, and he's found himself in this predicament. He could easily end up, going to Middle East, like I said, live football, because that's certainly an option.
You keep mentioning this, live football. That's
well, it is out there.
It's the feeling of it, is
it?
Yeah,
it is out there.
Okay, I get where you're going with that one.